A very good evening to you. You are watching Prime Time News on News First. I'm Chaturanga Parachi, joining you after some time here in the News First studios. Before we go into the stories in detail, let's take a look at the headlines.
President Maithripala Sirisena arrives in Victoria on a two-day visit. Fishermen protest in Chilau, Pottubil and Akurana. The rainy condition to enhance from tomorrow. Many districts affected by rain. Gammadda to launch a field research into floods in Wanathamulla, Kolonava and Vallampitiya. Colombo Municipal Council agrees to corporation's demands to solve garbage problem. Magistrate says MP who testified falsehoods cannot be legally named and accused.
On to those stories in detail now. The Department of Meteorology says the low pressure in the Bay of Bengal is likely to intensify the prevalent weather conditions in the country. Even though water levels have subsided in certain areas, several other areas are still underwater.
Due to the inclement weather conditions prevailing in the country, several districts still experience heavy showers. Due to the overflowing of the Ginganga, several roads in the Baddegama and its surrounding areas have been inundated. Our correspondent said that floods in many roads, including the Baddegama Udugama Road and the Baddegama Dodangoda Road, disrupted the vehicular movement. Meanwhile, our correspondent said that water levels in many areas of the Kaluthara district, including Valalavita, Palindanuara and Valivitiya, have subsided. Low-level areas in Horana and its surroundings are still inundated, while water in the low-level grounds in Mathugama are subsiding. Several houses in the Shravastipura area are flooded due to the overflowing of the Yoda Ala in Anuradhapura.
A very good evening to all our viewers. You're joining me as Rasan on Weather First. Let's now take a look at the weather forecast for the next few days. Due to the low atmospheric area in the Bay of Bengal, it has now developed into a depression. This is situated only 950 kilometers away from Trincomalee, and although this doesn't have a direct impact on Sri Lanka, this will enhance the showery condition in the country for the next few days. According to the Met Department, this prevailing weather condition will continue until the 10th of this month, especially in the western, northwestern, central and Sabargama provinces, also in the Gaul and Mathura districts. Now, during this weather condition, while it is prevailing in the country, the wind speed will also increase from 70 to 80 kilometers per hour, and the general public is requested to take adequate precautions to minimize activities and accidents related to lightning. Also, the fishermen are requested to refrain from engaging in fishing activities due to this situation in the sea areas.
Thank you, Azra, for that update. Before we go on to the other local stories, that we have a short reminder that you can log on to our website www.newsfirst.lk if you want to keep updated about the weather situation, as well as through our text alert services that we have available. In more local news, the Land Reclamation and Development Corporation has begun accepting waste from Colombo once again. The Colombo Municipal Council has paid 100 million rupees to the corporation for this service.
This footage was captured in Colombo and surrounding areas this morning. This afternoon, waste in Colombo was removed. Garbage collected from areas under the Colombo Municipal Council, Kalaniya Pradeshiya Sabha, Paliyagoda Urban Council and Wattala Mabola Urban Council are dumped in this land owned by the Land Reclamation and Development Corporation. However, the garbage trucks of the Colombo Municipal Council were not allowed to dispose the garbage as the CMC has not paid the fee. Responsibility of the Colombo waste management was taken under the purview of Ministry of Megapolis and Western Development following the Meethotamulla tragedy. However, Minister Patali Champika Ranawaka said its responsibility was reassigned to the Ministry of Provincial Councils and the relevant municipal councils, urban councils and Pradeshiya Sabhas. The management of the waste disposal centre in Kerawalapitiya was vested under the purview of Land Reclamation and Development Corporation. Mayor of the Colombo Municipal Council, Rosi Senanayake, said this was due to the request made by Reclamation and Development Corporation to settle the 207 million rupees.
We clearly state that we do not have an outstanding amount to settle. Garbage was disposed on Friday and today. Since there is talk that there is an outstanding amount to settle, we decided to pay an advance. As the people are inconvenienced due to this, we have made arrangements to pay 100 million rupees.
As soon as we received the money, we started disposing the garbage. We will work throughout the night and remove the garbage collected in these areas. We will be able to discuss and resolve the issue as this is between two state institutes. There is no issue in the documentation. So in the future, I hope we will be able to explain this to the mayor as we have all the required documents. From the people's point of view, we think that it is not suitable to demand anything from the other organization as these are owned by the state sector. We request them to hold an immediate meeting.
On to a story that came into the headlines this evening, Colombo Chief Magistrate Ranga Disanayake ruled today that it is illegal for MP Ravi Karunanayake to be named as a suspect with regard to the investigation that has been initiated into the allegation that he provided false testimony before the Bond Commission.
The Colombo Chief Magistrate noted that while the Criminal Investigations Department had made submissions to court, no case has been filed at present under Sri Lanka's Code of Criminal Procedures. As such, Disanayake concluded that the step taken by the CID to name Karunanayake as a suspect is illegal. However, the Chief Magistrate ordered the CID to continue with its investigation into Ravi Karunanayake. The Chief Magistrate also ordered that the CID is authorized to obtain reports of the Board of Directors of the company reportedly owned by Karunanayake for the purpose of this investigation. The CID was ordered to report on the progress of the investigation on the 22nd of this month. Meanwhile, with an interview with the Irida Lanka newspaper, MP Ravi Karunanayake claimed that 2 or 3 individuals within the UNP have become a virus within the party. Noting that while 80 to 85% of the party is working in unity, a small group is working to undermine this unity, Karunanayake said that party leader Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe is accountable for this state of affairs. Karunanayake claimed that those within his own party were trying to crucify him. He added that he would divulge the names of these persons in the near future, adding that the party will only have a future if this virus is removed. Furthermore, Karunanayake claims that the former president Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga is engaged in a program to destroy the UNP. His interview with the Irida Lankadipa, Karunanayake claims that Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga, who together with individuals like Mano Tittawela and Thilan Wijayasinghe brought about negative growth in the economy, is repeating this course of action in the present.
අහනවා මේ පාලම හදන්න මේ කඩවල් හදන්න මේ අනුමැතිය ලබා දුන්නේ අපිද?
What you just witnessed were the views expressed by the public during various demonstrations held across the country. Today, communities in Puttalam, Galle, Pothuwil, Oluvil and Dakuruna took to the streets to protest.
Fishing communities in several areas protested today against the granting of permits for vessels owned by private companies and the increase in the prices of fuel and ice boxes. One group of protesters blocked the Colombo-Puttalam road near the Topua Bridge. The Negombo Magistrates Court had issued an injunction order against the demonstration. Whilst the Kochikade police informed the protesters of the court order, it was disregarded. Eventually, riot police were called in to disperse the demonstration. This price formula does not work for our country. The price of ice was increased by about 70 rupees recently for no reason at all. Now the Prime Minister is giving out loans under Enterprise Sri Lanka to earn foreign exchange. Why are they protecting existing businesses and dollars? Fishermen bring in foreign exchange, but the fishermen were treated worse than dogs. The Fisheries Minister of the Waimba province, Sumal Desera, arrived at the scene and held talks with the demonstrators. We drafted a cabinet paper today to reduce the price of an ice box to 200 rupees and to reduce the price of a litre of fuel to 100 rupees. We have drafted this cabinet paper and decided to submit it to the next cabinet meeting. A group of fishermen in Portville staged a protest opposite the divisional secretariat today, claiming that while about 50 fishermen ply their trade from the Portville Fisheries Harbour, only several individuals had been granted permits. We have been here for 30 years, but we did not receive licenses. When we ask them why, they say it is only for the wealthy. About 15 boats can fish in this sea every day. Why have they only issued permits for 8 boats? If one permit costs 2.5 million rupees, then who sold the permits for 20 million? However, the licensed fishermen rejected those allegations. This is a lie because it was said that those without licenses cannot fish. They are lying. Opposite the Adala Chennai Divisional Secretariat, demanding the removal of sand deposits which have accumulated in the Oluville Fisheries Harbour. Fishermen claim that many vessels have met with accidents due to the accumulated sands. However, our correspondent reports that the coast around the Oluville Harbour is already subject to severe erosion. He noted that area residents are opposed to the demands of the fishermen. Residents of Akurana staged a demonstration today, noting that the area is inundated even in the event of minor rainfall. They charged that the water is not draining out as a result of unauthorized constructions, including buildings and bridges in the protected reserve. Most shops in the town were closed down today in solidarity with the protest.
The Presidential Commission of Inquiry into large-scale fraud and corruption at Sri Lanka Airlines and Mihin Lanka convened yet again today. It was revealed today that certain promotions, transfers and appointments that took place within Sri Lankan Airlines were executed against accepted company practices.
The witness is an employee of the Human Resource Division at Sri Lankan Airlines and provided details regarding the appointment and subsequent transfers and promotions of a former employee at Sri Lankan Airlines. It was revealed that employee promotions had taken place to the direction of certain senior management authorities without the approval of the Human Resource Division. A senior employee attached to the Finance Department also revealed that payments for allowances were duplicated and Sri Lankan Airlines had to bear the cost of additional unauthorized payments. It was further revealed that the chairman had requested an apartment to be leased in Dubai to conduct management trainee programs for overseas employees and to reduce costs incurred for accommodation. However, the witness confirmed that no such management trainee programs took place and Sri Lankan Airlines was further burdened with an additional expense of 2.4 million rupees. Further, it was confirmed that these rental invoices did not include the name of Sri Lankan Airlines and included the name of a former employee who worked at the airline's Dubai branch. This employee was paid an additional amount of approximately 826,500 rupees with no approval from the Human Resource Division.
A short while ago, we reported to you about the weather and the incidents surrounding the weather. The residents of Vanathamulla in Borella, Meethotamulla and Vallampitiya from low-income earning families are severely affected by the adverse weather in the country. Newsfirst reported on how 496 families in the Vanathamulla area have been affected by the heavy rains. Gammadda launched a field survey today to find a scientific solution to the problems faced by these people before the lapse of 12 hours after it was initially reported yesterday.
Several areas in Colombo got inundated as a result of the heavy showers. Though people who are affected are relocated, they do not have the proper facilities at these locations. Why do these areas get inundated even after a small bit of rainfall? The government and the teams were deployed to these areas in Colombo today in a bid to find a scientific solution to these problems. The students of the Department of Town and Country Planning of the University of Moratuwa also joined hands with the government and the team. This is the Halagavatta area in Vanathamulla. This area gets inundated very often when the Heen Ella in the area overflows. Garbage is being disposed into this canal that flows down to the Kalani River through Orugudavatta. As a result, this area gets flooded 3 times each year. The people living in this area, especially the children, are constantly taken ill. The people who are affected by the adverse weather this time around are at the N.M. Pereira Community Hall. The members of the 496 families say that if they are to be allocated houses at safe locations, they are ready to leave. These people had not received their lunch even at 4 p.m. this evening. There were several children among these numbers. This was the situation that arose when the lunch was brought to the location. The research will continue tomorrow as well.
President Maithripala Sirisena arrived at the Seychelles International Airport this morning, commencing a 2-day official visit on the invitation of the Seychelles President.
President Sirisena was received at Seychelles International Airport by a delegation led by Senior Minister Maksuzi Mondon and the Sri Lanka High Commissioner in Seychelles, Tikitiherat Gunatilaka. The aim of the President's visit is to increase close cooperation between the two countries in sectors such as tourism, fisheries, health, education and maritime affairs. President Sirisena was scheduled to meet Seychelles President Danny Fair this afternoon for bilateral discussions. The two countries are also scheduled to sign several memorandums of understanding for further expansion of bilateral cooperation. President Fair visited Sri Lanka in February 2017.
Still on local news, the Regional Policy Forum, jointly organized by the Bank of Ceylon and the Asia Pacific Rural and Agricultural Credit Association, was held today.
The event was attended by many distinguished foreign guests such as Shiba Raj Shrestha, the Deputy Governor of Nepal Rashtra Bank, Xian Wenhui, the President of the Agricultural Development Bank of China, Prasanth Kumar Das, the Secretary General of Africa, and Dr. Harsh Kumar Banwala, Chairman of the National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. Ronald C. Pereira, the Chairman of Bank of Ceylon, was also present at the event. The theme of the event was Financing Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, a solution for the missing middle.
For those of you who do not know, the Ministry of Primary Industries, in collaboration with the World Bank, has secured $125 million to provide grant packages to those looking to invest in value-added export agriculture and aquaculture-based projects. Economic development of the country can be achieved only with the improvement livelihood of the rural people. Now, microfinance has come to include broad range of services such as microcredits, savings and microinsurance. This is essential for acceleration of economic growth.
With respect to SMEs, the Sri Lankan government's intention is to integrate SMEs into the formal sector and also to establish hard and soft infrastructure frameworks to facilitate their growth. We will encourage project-based lending rather than collateral-based lending, rationalize upfront taxes that hinder expansion, and encourage knowledge sharing between R&D institutions and SMEs. as much as access to finance is promoted through government programs, I believe the government also should focus on encouraging responsible lending practices. The proliferation of unethical lending in microfinance in particular led to a crisis situation in some parts of the country. Towards this ending, the government is drafting new measures for the microfinance sector.
The 19th constitutional amendment was passed stating that democratic rule will be established in the country. However, the Constitutional Council, considered to be one of the main components of the 19th Amendment, has now become dysfunctional.
Members of the Constitutional Council have not been appointed yet. The Prime Minister and the opposition leader have to do it. What do you have to say about this?
The appointments will be made. The 5 members should be appointed by the Prime Minister and the opposition leader. We have discussed about this.
The tenure of the Chief Justice will be over on the 12th. The Constitutional Council has to grant approval to appoint a new Chief Justice.
The Prime Minister will return tomorrow or the day after. The appointments will be made as soon as he returns.
There are allegations that appointments to high-ranking positions are being delayed.
There is no point in talking about things like this. I spoke to the Prime Minister even before he left the country. Some have taken a decision. When the Prime Minister returns, we will appoint them based on the decision.
What's the reason behind this delay?
The Prime Minister left the country. We will appoint them when he returns. Nothing that you say will happen.
The opposition leader is appointed to the Constitutional Council through designated power. In addition, the opposition leader has the power to appoint other members to the Constitutional Council subsequent to discussions held with the Prime Minister. However, it is a question as to whether R. Sambandhan is the opposition leader for the whole country or only to a few selected parties. R. Sambandhan has broken our trust in several instances. The people of this country have accepted the fact that Sambandhan has been bought by the Prime Minister for money. Should we remind the leader of the opposition to practice democracy in the country by appointing the 5 members to the Constitutional Council?
Is he going to appoint members according to the way the Prime Minister wants? Or is it based on what the people want? It is for the first time in world history that a leader of the opposition was trying to safeguard the Prime Minister. We request Sambandhan to not let the Constitutional Council to become a joke. Appoint independent members to the Council. Don't do what the Prime Minister wants.
World Vision Organization has identified solutions to advocate discipline among children without resorting to corporal punishment. Marcus Pereira, manager of the World Vision Urban Development Program, spoke to Newsfirst.
Most adults say that they were given beatings as children and they are who they are today because of the beatings they received during their childhood. You are where you are today because you were beaten up. But if you weren't subjected to all of that, you would be in a better place than where you are today. We have to decide what kind of childhood we are going to give our children. Also, the adults who were beaten when they were children grew up in a different society from that what exists now. The children who come with a bad experience spend the entire day with that bad experience. That bad experience will never leave his life. It will be embedded into his life. These things come out later in life. Children who go through experiences like this end up being abusers, thugs, rapists and gangsters. Are we going to bring up our children by beating them up? You decide. A recent survey conducted by the World Vision Organization together with pediatrician Harendra De Silva, NGOs and with the participation of 32 schools revealed that 80.4% of students have been subject to corporal punishment and 15% have been subject to sexual abuse. A 2-day program was conducted by the World Vision Urban Development Program for the principals and teachers of the schools in the Vattala area.
The launch of the World Bank Group's Regional Trade Report was held in Colombo this morning.
The event was graced by the World Bank Country Director for Sri Lanka and the Maldives, Minister of Development Strategies and International Trade Malik Samaravikrama, and the Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy.
One of the findings that struck me is that Sri Lanka has a potential to grow its exports to South Asia by more than 2 times. The right ingredients are worked on, while our current exports to the region are about $1.2 billion. The potential is nearly US dollars 3 billion. Going by last year's export numbers, this is about 20% of our total exports.
Growth is too low. No two ways about it. But growth in the second quarter was higher than in the first quarter. And the growth in the second half of the year is going to be higher than in the first half. So I don't see collapse. I see inadequate growth, and there's a lot we need to do to improve it, but it's not collapsing. It's actually on an upward trend. It doesn't help when people from Sri Lankans themselves keep saying when the economy is collapsing, when growth is low but going up, inflation is well within the target, reserves are adequate and are being built up. So where is this collapse? I really want to know, where is this collapse? And people going around saying the economy is collapsing are not being helpful. It is an extremely anti-nationalist thing to do, because they have to back it up with data. Back it up with data. By all means do that. But the data doesn't seem to indicate that.
Is the economy truly doing fine? Here are a few facts to consider. We report, you decide.
A recent report on the macroeconomic situation of the country in the third quarter reveals that the foreign investor flows turned negative in the last 12 months. The foreign investor flows at the end of September, according to the report, stands at minus $27.76 million US dollars. The net flows for the year stands at minus $35.7 million US dollars. These outflows have been a significant factor in the devaluation of Sri Lanka's currency and declining foreign reserves. The major stock market indices in the country, as ASPI and the S&P SL20, are down close to 10% and 20% respectively for 2018. Trading volumes at the Colombo Stock Exchange have dried up in addition to the stock price declines, with most days registering just a few $1 million worth of transactions. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka decided not to raise interest rates at the last monetary policy meeting. There have been interventions in the currency markets, but so far these have been much less than what has been done historically when the country was feeling similar balance of payments pressures. The government carried out several treasury bill auctions in the past month. While the government issued 17.5 billion rupees worth bills on the 19th of September, it did not accept any bids as the interest rate was high. The government issues treasury bills worth 8 billion on the 26th, and the government accepted 5.1 billion rupees. While the government offered 6 billion rupees again on the 3rd of October, the government did not accept any of it as the interest rates are high. Non-performing loans have increased to 3.6% by the end of August from 3.4% in July. The NPL volumes have increased by 58% to 255 billion rupees. Meanwhile, the Mirror Business reported today that the numbers show that banks have rescheduled some 155 billion worth loans during the first 8 months, so that their non-performing loans look smaller and the balance sheet more appealing. As per the data available for the last year, this is an increase of approximately over 70% in rescheduled loans. The central bank has said to have put the potential NPL ratio at 5.0% by the end of August, 140 basis points higher than the reported NPL ratio for the same period by the banks. Though views are expressed to say that the region is affected by the strengthening US dollar, thereby causing the currencies of the countries in the region to depreciate, historic data reveals that the Sri Lankan rupee has been performing below the Bangladeshi taka, the Vietnamese dong, Indian rupee, Philippine peso, and the Malaysian ringgit. Wake up, Governor. Numbers don't lie. You're an educated man from an illustrious family. The nation expected more from you.
Speaking on our Newsline program this morning, Joan De Silva Munasinghe, who is the former Director of Bank Supervision at the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, expressed the following views.
Now today, as you know, we are facing a huge crisis because we are such an import-dependent economy. Indeed. Because of the exchange rate, yes. Right? If we had built these enterprises very long ago, successive governments had, with national initiative, built up the MSMEs, that is the micro, small and medium enterprises. They would have been the engines of growth, as you know, in Taiwan, Korea, Most of these countries, they have been the engines of growth.
That's all the news we have for you this evening. Again, a reminder that you can log on to www.newsfirst.lk for all these stories and more. I've been Saturang Haparaji. Thank you very much for watching.